In 2007, I was hired as a safety coordinator by a very large food distribution company. Their numbers were just absolutely terrible. Their OSHA DART rate was bad. Their workers' compensation cost was through the roof, and management knew that they had to do something. 3 years later, we had one of the best workers' compensation rates within the company by far. Our DART rate was right where it needed to be according to OSHA by industry standards. And then something happened that it was totally unexpected to me. Stay tuned. I think you're going to find this to be very interesting. Hi, I'm Tim, and this is JoCo Safety Solutions. You know, if you've ever worked in safety, in management, in leadership, anywhere, this story may sound just a little familiar. It's a true story about what happened within my career, early career, within safety, and it happened to me years ago. And the lessons that were learned in this were just as relevant today, or are as relevant today as they were years ago when it actually took place. So grab yourself a good cup of coffee, sit back, and let me tell you exactly what happened. I think you're going to be surprised. Back in 2007, like I said, I was hired as a safety coordinator for a food distribution company. Very large company, 40 divisions nationwide, and I was hired as their safety coordinator for one of those on the East Coast, one of the larger actual divisions. This wasn't, like I said, a small company. And almost immediately, I learned why I was actually hired. Their numbers, their DART rate, their workers' compensation numbers, cost was outrageous. Lots of accidents, lots of injuries taking place. The company had never had a dedicated person to safety before hiring me. They had always divided it up within the managers to handle a piece or part of the training, investigations, and things like that. And a lot of times what I found out early on was safety was looked at either in one of two ways. Either if you'd done something against company policy, it was brushed over because there was a manager that didn't want to embarrass one of his employees. Or the exact extreme on the other end where they act like the police and you need to go home for today. So we got two opposite ends of the spectrum here. That's what was taking place. There was no clear direction as to how safety was being handled, and I knew right away if I was going to make a difference, I was going to have to get out from behind the desk and get on the production floor within the warehouse. So what did I do? Just that. I started going around, introducing myself to employees, talking to each person and building those relationships. The very first thing that I did in talking to them was learn their name. Learn their name. People have a great pride in their name, and that's what we wanted to do, make sure that I knew everybody within the company. So next, I listened more than I talked. Let them tell me what they were seeing, what was happening, what was taking place, more so than me sitting to try. I won't sit and try to tell them how it was going to be. That's the police way. I wanted them to tell me what they wanted as a company. I spent a lot of time in the warehouse. I performed inspections, accident investigations, not just serious accidents either, but right down to the near misses that took place. If a near miss happened, let's investigate it. Every incident, every opportunity to learn, that's what we wanted to do. When someone got hurt, my goal was to not find blame for someone for whatever took place, but little by little, I wanted them to understand why I was there. So things started changing. Employees started becoming more engaged when it comes to safety. Supervisors became more involved in what was taking place. Conversations about safety actually started becoming the norm, if you will, instead of a, hush hush sort of thing. A real safety culture was starting to bloom, starting to take place. It takes consistency to do that, and that's exactly what we did. And when I say patience, it took a lot of patience. And one other thing I almost left out that it takes is good, solid leadership. The company needs to understand that safety starts at the very top and comes down from there, not from the bottom up, but from the top down. By the end of 2009, something remarkable had happened. The facility had achieved the lowest workers' compensation rate in the entire company. Think about that for a moment. Within the entire company, we went from being one of the facilities with major challenges, major problems, to becoming a top contender. We set the bar when it comes to safety. Our OSHA DART rate had dropped dramatically and was well within the national average. Our numbers actually told the story. But what made me most proud, wasn't the statistics of our numbers. It was families not getting those phone calls that so-and-so had got hurt today and they're at hospital, or worse, because we didn't want that. Employees were going home in the same condition that they actually came every day, and they started seeing that difference. So then the surprise. In 2010, once it arrived, I was called into a meeting later that summer, and I was informed that my position was being eliminated. Now, I'm thinking, we've gone from the very worst to the very best, and now you're going to send me home. Well, they did. The explanation was that the company was moving in a different direction. Well, at least that's what they said. Instead of having a safety coordinator at each facility, we're looking to have safety managers that would look after 2 and 3 facilities. Like I said, at least that was their explanation. The reality of it all, it never happened. The position wasn't replaced, like they said, with safety managers. The safety responsibilities were simply divided back up between the managers once again to cut cost. Just like that, that chapter with that company of my life was over. And I won't lie, it was disappointing. It was heartbreaking. It was heart-wrenching there for a while. But really, it was one of the greatest things they ever did for me. After everything was accomplished, it wasn't the ending, really, that I expected. But over time, I realized something very important. My success was never really defined by whether I stayed there for the next year or stayed there forever. My success was defined by the impact that I had while I was there on the people, on every employee. The injuries that were prevented, the relationships that was built, the culture, the strong safety culture that was created within the workplace. That's what made the difference. That's what was most important. As safety professionals, we don't always control business decisions. When it comes to budget, when it comes to structure, when companies restructure, and the different things that they do. But what we do have control over is the time that we are there with those relationships of each and every person. But what we can control every day can make a huge difference, and it did. After leaving the company, I went on to work for a municipality, a local municipality, for the next 16 years, and had, like I said earlier, a great career within safety. A new chapter began. There was new challenges, new opportunities, and new people to serve. And that's what I did. Looking back today, I wouldn't change a thing. It happened just like it was supposed to be. Because that experience taught me that the most valuable lessons of my career about safety, it isn't the titles that come behind it. That safety coordinator, safety manager, safety director. It's not about the position. It's not about recognition of what we've done at the time. It's about the people and what I learned and how we could better protect them while we were there. And that's something that nobody can ever take away from you. So, just a call to action. If you've ever worked in safety, in management, and leadership, have you ever experienced something similar to that? Have you ever turned things around and then seen the company move in a different direction? If so, let me know. Drop me a comment, drop a note or message in the comments. Let me know what you've seen. I'd really love to read it and to hear from your perspective of it as to what happened. And if you've enjoyed this real world safety lesson, let me know as well. So we can do more like this and tell the stories of what's happening in life, true lessons of life. Be sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell so you will get further notifications. So until the next time, like I said, this is Tim with JoCo Safety Solutions. Take care and God bless.